And thanks for tuning back in to more Rutgers football talk on the Rutgers Football Report, our lads football network. Ryan Dunleavy back joining me once again as we talk Rutgers football following a huge season-saving victory at Illinois. Rutgers will host Wisconsin in a couple of days. We're recording this show on Thursday evening. Ryan, how is everything?
Everything's good. Yeah, long day. Giants COVID scares running through the building, but glad to be sitting down talking about college football.
Yeah, it was a crazy. It was a really, it was one of those games we talked about that we figured it was going to be against Illinois. Pretty boring. It's going to be defensive. Rutgers are probably going to give up a couple of big plays, and they did. Matter of fact, Brandon Peters, that touchdown pass was the longest touchdown pass or the longest passing play of the season for Illinois. So that beat kind of goes on. But when it came down to it, Rutgers made 3 huge plays in the game, which we're going to take a look at in just a little bit. They showed their mental resolve, and this was one of those old school Greg Schiano victories.
That's exactly what it was. Yep. And the story writer in me wanted to see Art Sikowski in the game play.
Yeah.
I didn't get to see him against his old team, but no, exactly. Rutgers grinded it out and made you wish they had done that against Northwestern, and then you'd have a real season on your hand. You'd have you'd be 1 win from bowl eligibility.
Yeah. Now they still have. Well, the good part though is that's why we said there's no way they could even think about a bowl if they lost this game. But now there's 2 winnable games left, so they're going to basically have to run the table though, meaning they're going to have to win both of those games. They're going to have to win at Indiana, which is not going to be easy, and they're going to have to beat Maryland at home on their final game of the regular season, unless they do something miraculous and pull off an upset. And that's like the last thing. Look, it was nice that they won that game last year against Purdue and opened up the upset against Michigan State. Those were nice wins. But we haven't yet seen, and maybe we won't see it this year. Maybe we'll have to wait till next year, but we haven't yet seen that really big win yet, since Greg Schiano's been back.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, Michigan State, having beat Michigan State last year, looks pretty good this year.
Right. Yeah.
But no, you're right. I would agree. They haven't beaten a team that you were like, wow, they're much worse than that team, and they just outplayed them. No, they haven't really done that.
And look, it happens a lot in college football, so it's not that Rutgers can't do it. Look at Illinois; they just beat Penn State the week before.
Correct.
So it can happen. That's why it would be nice if Rutgers can actually pull off an upset. Now Wisconsin, we'll get into it in a little bit, is a little, because they're not a high explosive offense like Ohio State. They're more manageable, like almost like Michigan, like the Michigan State game. So if Rutgers can play better, a lot better than they did against Michigan State, then maybe they can actually make it a second half game against Wisconsin, or maybe a fourth quarter game. But before we talk about the Wisconsin game, let's wrap up what happened against Illinois. And early on, Vedral kind of looked like Vedral, but the offense, it's interesting. I wrote this down, and you probably noticed it watching the game. They had a 3rd and 8 run for a yard. They had another 3rd down and 6 run, and they settled for a field goal early in the second quarter. They had a 3rd and 7 run late in the first half when they had the lead 10-7. And then in the second half, they picked up their first down on a 3rd down run of that. It was a little shorter. It was 3rd and 4. So early on in the game, they were like, well, let's try to keep it close. We don't want to. We're in long distance territory. We don't want to turn into a sack, interception, fumble, whatever. They were just very vanilla, even on 3rd and longs with these with the game plan.
No, absolutely. That was a sign. that they thought they could win the game without if they didn't make any mistakes. Talent on talent, they thought they were the better team, and that's what a lot of coaches do when they think they have the talent edge. Is they just play not to make mistakes, and I think it bites you in the butt more than it works out. But it worked out for them here. And look, Rutgers played Illinois 6 straight years, which is almost unheard of in the Big Ten to have the same crossover opponent
Yeah.
6 straight years. And they only beat them 2 out of 6 times, as if I count right. So that's not good enough. I mean, that is what it is. I mean, if you're gonna be what you want to be as Rutgers, you got to beat Illinois 5 out of 6 times.
Now, it was nice to see, even though we didn't play well, it was nice to see that when Vedral went down early, Cole Snyder came in. I was just happy to see whether Evan Simon or Cole Snyder, okay, like we talked about, let's just see for a series. Let's see how they would play. I've seen enough of Cole Snyder now. But he did run, the offense a little bit, and on that, and he was on the field when they had their first touchdown run. They basically ran the ball a couple of times there to Monungai. Matter of fact, they had a 4th and 1 Langdon run for a first down on that drive. So and that was the beginning. So that was actually one of the storylines of the game, was that Rutgers played 3 quarterbacks. We'll talk about the other one in a little bit, but they played 3 quarterbacks in the game, and all 3 quarterbacks were very instrumental, or helped win the football game.
Yeah, we're gonna tease people like that, Greg. Just mention the other one.
Yeah,
Gavin
we're gonna tease it. Yeah, like they don't know who I'm talking about.
With the big 4th down conversion. You and I talked about this playoff line a little bit. I know you were super excited about it. Look, to me, that play was him in a nutshell. Like, if you asked me one play to define what I think Gavin Wimsatt is right now, that would have been the play. Is a playmaker who can make, who can extend a play a little bit, you throw across the run, has a little mobility in the pocket. But also, I think that pocket was cleaner than he thought it was, which means he has a little bit of happy feet and, not quite has the pocket presence, which you would expect. Well, I mean, the kid should be a senior in high school, so he's not, he hasn't seen a Big Ten defensive rush. But to show that kind of playmaking ability on a 4th down in a pinch, I mean, that is not how Greg Schiano wanted the kid to make his debut at all. And he did it, and one play, and it was nice, and it was like the perfect whet your appetite. He contributed to a big win. He can feel good about himself, and they didn't have to overexpose him. But, yeah, there was a lot to – and for one play that lasted probably about 4 seconds, there was a lot to like and a lot not to like.
Well, I mean, here's my contention, though, as we're looking at the play here, is that what I could look at it as this way, is that here's the guy coming, here's the rush coming. Okay. Now, he can't stand there.
Look at all that space.
It's true, but he can't stand there. He's got to move up in the pocket.
Sure.
So he he calmly moves up in the pocket, which I like. He didn't start running around. He calmly steps up in the pocket here. Now, here we go. Okay. Now, he could have ran. A lot of freshmen would have just went, I'm just going. There was the rush. I'm going. And he didn't. And here he goes right there. Now he takes that step back you're talking about. Let's go ahead and run it again. So there, he takes that step back. But even though he takes a step back, he throws a perfect pass across the field. And the thing is, we haven't seen the kid enough to really know what his little intricacies are. I don't know if he's more comfortable throwing a certain way. Which is why.
But you can't. I can tell you, it doesn't matter if he's more comfortable taking steps backwards to throw the ball. That's not going to work. So.
No, not at all, not at all. But anyway, what was great about it was just the fact that it happened under the circumstances, and also
it's a tough throw.
Yes,
it's a close game on 4th down across the field. 2 linebackers coming up towards you. It's a tough throw. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm not poo-pooing it. The kid made a tough throw. I'm just saying that play showed me a little bit of why I don't want to see him for 4 quarters too.
And it was interesting because it was the last play of the quarter, so. What happens if it wasn't the last play of the quarter? Does he stay out there for another play or two? But they didn't have to worry about that. The quarter ended. Vedral had an extra, minute or two to kind of get back into the game, and he did that. I want to show, though, let's take a look at the play that was the first play of the game. Obviously, that was the second best play of the game. Johnny Langan, I really feel, is going to find a niche at the next level if he can learn the tight end position. Because look at this catch. 3rd and 9. What a huge play in the game. I mean, look at that catch. That's as good as you get. That's a tight end making a catch like that in traffic. Good throw,
that's
too, by the way.
That's a quarterback making a catch like that,
That's
really.
a quarterback. And
that's the second best catch I've seen by a quarterback this year.
Yeah, who was the first one?
Oh, come on. Danny Dimes, one-handed Odell Beckham catch.
Got it. Yeah. So anyway, I think he's got a future at the tight end position. And again, now that was 3rd and 9, own 13, 3:46 left. Then comes the Wimsatt throw on the same drive. And then 2 plays later, to begin the fourth quarter, Vedral runs the ball into the end zone. That's that. Without that catch, they don't get the Wimsatt play, and they don't get the touchdown run. That's how big that catch was. So it just shows you how sometimes these little plays in the game amount to an awful lot. Okay, now we're going to take a look at another key part of the game. Our secret weapon. Adam Korsak, once again, doing what he does. Pinning, once again, inside the 1 yard line. What that sets up is an Illinois 3 and out. And after that, Rutgers goes on. Here's a run to set up the field goal. They get the field goal to go up 20-14. And then here is the last big play of the game. But before I get to that, Korsak, that is the prime example of how punters can be weapons right there. That's the punter. There should be stats. I don't know if there are. There should be stats for punters, like adjusted scoring points, and how they help you put points, because that happens. And that was a perfect example. So
you got to give credit too to the gunner who knocked it out of bounds there without crossing over. That's a really difficult play.
Yep.
to knock that ball out of bounds there without crossing over, touching the pylon, accidentally creating a touchback. That's a really, really tough play.
And then the last of the 3 big plays of the game, we have not talked about him enough, and he deserves us to talk about him because he has NFL caliber talent, and that is Keesawn Abraham. And he has been fantastic all season. He is he is a legitimate slot corner at the next level. And here he's making one of the plays of the game. I mean, that's how you teach him up. That's how Greg Schiano teaches him up. I mean, that's just an incredible play right there by Abraham. Because if he gets by that, now you can question whether Illinois should have ran the play. But if Abraham's not there, if he blows the assignment, he misses the tackle, whatever the case may be, that could actually be a touchdown. But anyway, really great play by Abraham. He's had a great season.
Yeah, that is an awesome play. Yeah, if I could tell you the number of corners in the NFL who don't make that tackle, I mean, it's just a really good play. It's being in the right place at the right time, having good instincts, having recovery speed when you take one step in the wrong direction. It's just a great play.
Okay, now Rutgers, again, they have Wisconsin coming up. And Wisconsin, as I was saying before, on the plus, they're not going to explode. They're not going to have explosive plays like Ohio State. Matter of fact, they're not even going to have explosive plays like Michigan State. Michigan State beat us with those explosive plays because that's just not their offense. But they run the football.
They're third in the Big Ten in rushing offense, and they're first in the Big Ten in rushing defense. They outrush teams 212 to 49 per game.
Yeah.
That is unbelievable. That's where they win their games. I mean, it's really that simple. There's a reason that some big farm oxen from Wisconsin as a first-round draft pick every single year. And I mean that as a compliment to the Kevin Zeitlers and the Ryan Ramcheks. And every year there's a first-round offensive lineman from Wisconsin that if you pass on him as an NFL team, you're nuts.
And by the way, the number one in the Big Ten is the number one in the nation in rush defense.
Yeah, I believe it. Yeah.
So that is a bad thing for an offense that does not have a passing game.
Correct.
So that's bad, which tells you that they're going to need Adam Cruikshank back. And he's going up against his former team. So he better be back.
Yeah, Rutgers' only chance to win this game is to have a really lopsided field position battle because Cruikshank has big returns or because the defense forces some short field turnovers. Rutgers needs to start its starting field possession needs to be about 15 or 20 yards better than Wisconsin's in this game.
Yep. So no idea if Cruikshank's going to return, but if he does, this would be the perfect week against his former team. Also, one of the things that we haven't seen yet, though, I'm a little bit surprised, is we haven't seen the signature Greg Schiano special teams punt block. We haven't seen that yet. That was a staple in the day.
Yeah.
And they've come close a couple of times early in the season, but it's been kind of quiet for the last 4 or 5 games. So hopefully, this would be a good week to get one of those. And additionally, they need turnovers. No question. They're going to need some sort of fumbles, interception, and maybe you get lucky. It's a 13-10 game going into the, late in the third quarter, and something can happen. It's a 3:30 start, so it's a little bit later in the day. We'll see if that affects the fan base at all. They're coming off a win. No idea what the attendance is like, but after a win, knowing that a game like this could actually, even though it won't clinch a bowl berth, if you were somehow able to come up with one of those upsets, you're probably going to get to a bowl somehow. This should be the game that the fans, who cares about Maryland? Show up now. Show up this game against Wisconsin, and I hope they do. I hope it's a sellout.
I honestly, look, I ripped the fans on here a couple weeks ago after their last home game, and then they lost to Northwestern, and you know what? I get it. So, after you lost to Northwestern, that took some steam out. I get it. If they don't come, I won't rip them again. But you literally heard Greg Schiano pleading. Greg Schiano is one of the smartest people, not coaches, people I've ever met in my life. Everything he says has a message. For him to stand up there post-game after a win and plead with people to come to the game it's got to be humbling for him because he expects them to be there. So for him to have to do that is, I'm sure, humbling. And I think it just kind of tells you a little bit about the state of the Rutgers fan right now. But I'm with you. They're knocking on the edge of a bowl. If you don't want to come to the Maryland, if they lose and you don't go to the Maryland game because there's nothing to play for, I get it. But to me, this is where you want to be. For the foreseeable future, this is the position, the best position Rutgers can be in.
Yep.
Playing for a bowl in November. Maybe one day you're competing for Big Ten titles, but this is where you want to be. So you should. To me, there's really no excuse not to show up.
Yeah, you don't want. You don't want to be the homer or the fan who only shows up when the team is performing well. No, don't wait for them to.
Rutgers has a lot of those fans.
Yeah,
they do. I know the fan base well. They have a lot of those fans, and they're selling out basketball games left and right. And I understand a basketball arena is much smaller than a football arena, but they're selling out basketball games left and right because the team was good last year.
No, look, we know the fans came out when the team won with Schiano the first time, but come out now. Don't wait. Don't make because you're making it harder. Let's just put it that way. Don't make it harder on these guys. Doesn't guarantee a win, doesn't guarantee a close game, but it just makes the chances a little bit better. So, all right, what do you think? What's your feeling about the game on Saturday?
I don't like it.
Blowout?
I think they lose the game
27-6.
30 31-14, something like that.
Oh, that's a lot of points.
Yeah.
I don't know. I see what you're saying though. 17-point spread, I could see that.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be hard for them to cover that 13-point spread.
Yeah.
All right, and then after that, Rutgers will. Let's see, they got Penn State left on the schedule. We said Maryland, and then also Indiana. So it's back to the road after this. So it's one more home game is the Maryland game. Now Clifford, I hope he's as banged up as he was against Illinois when Rutgers plays them in a few weeks.
I never want to see somebody injured.
I'm just saying. So. I hope he doesn't get much better. Well, Penn State's not going anywhere anyway now, and that's a shame. Sure. Just imagine being a Penn State fan. You're undefeated. You're beating Iowa at Iowa, the battle of undefeateds, and then your quarterback gets hurt. And then how do you have as a program like Penn State the backup quarterback that they had? That was bad. And then they get and then the kid quits like the next week because he was that bad. Clifford, I guess, had to play against Illinois because they didn't have anybody and he wasn't even ready. That's so sad because Penn State they were a sleeper national championship contender until they got hurt.
Their fans are so reasonable that you got to feel bad for them. Yeah. So.
No, nobody feels bad for the Penn State fan. So that's a different direction.
Least of all me.
I was talking about the team. Yeah.
All
right. Oh, yeah.
All
okay.
Right.
That's right. Yeah. I'm sure you've had those memories as well. And that relationship with those Philly fans, those Pennsylvania fans, those Penn State / Eagle fans. Okay. So that's going to wrap it up. Enjoy the game on Sunday and Saturday. You'll watch the game on Saturday and you'll attend the Giant game on Sunday, correct?
Yep. That's the story.
All right. We'll talk to you next week, Ryan. Appreciate it.
Sounds good. Thanks.